She had eyes which won't necessarily come to me, but I'll come to you.
She was very charismatic, beautiful face, very sharp eyes, and very intelligent.
I do believe she was the most beautiful woman that ever lived.
She's the quintessential flapper girl. She basically, from Howard Hawks's early film in '28, Girl in Every Port, in which she plays a sort of dangerous femme fatale figure, that's what Louise Brooks was. She was sexually liberated, she was a dangerous woman, she basically causes the deaths of several men in her films, particularly Pandora's Box. But she's rather a kind of unwitting femme fatale.
The first time I saw Louise Brooks, I sat down, looked at the screen, and I was just like, wow. And then I just watched the movie and how she moved and how she portrayed herself, which in Pandora's Box was basically this innocent but potentially fatal character to all those around her. Virtually all the characters around her fell in love with her in one form or another. All had known her intimately. And I was just totally captivated by what was going off.
I have something like 725 pictures on my computer, and I look at them all the time, just to look into that face, to get lost in that face. Those wonderful eyes, the perfect nose, everything goes together.
She was such an independent character. She travelled to London and did a season at the Café de Paris when she was 18. She travelled the world. She did a contemporary dance tour as a member of one of the most forward-thinking dance companies in America. She had early success in films. She was one of Ziegfeld's Folly Girls. I think that's amazing achievements for a teenager in the 1920s.
Louise Brooks's hairstyle was absolutely revolutionary at the time. It was just a very short bob. The style caused outrage in certain quarters. It was regarded as manly, unfeminine, and even unchristian, and children were known to disown their mothers who actually sported the new style.
Brooks's hairstyle, the bob, while she had it, that was her power, and she was able to seduce people with it.
Louise Brooks's makeup style was a very vampish look. It was theatrical, it was painted, and it was very artificial looking. And the eyes would be the key thing, with a very heavily defined kohl all the way round, and then strong lashes. The rouge was just painted on in a little round circle with no attempt to follow the contours of the face at all. She
had the very boyish figure. She was actually quite, I mean, not kind of heavy, but she was quite square, if you like, and that very much suited 1920s flapper dresses. She really wasn't in tune with the early 1930s. In 1929, Madame Vianney had brought in the buyer's cut dress. There'd been the Wall Street crash. People were much more circumspect. And so Louise Brooks was a kind of throwback, if you like, to a much more extravagant age.
To create the look nowadays, you wouldn't need to use the heavy foundation that was used then, but what you could use is a colour enhancer, a white or pearl one, that would even out the skin tones of the face. And then perhaps a very light foundation over the top if necessary. And then powder. Now, if you really want to look like Louise Brooks, you'd need to do some heavy plucking with the eyebrows. But to cheat that a little, we could conceal the eyebrows and then pencil in a very fine brow. Use some powder under the eyes, just translucent powder, so that you don't get any fallout of dark colours. Then heavily kohl the eyes, round the eyes. and then use brown and greys, building up the colour, very, very smudgy and very, very dense. Louise Brooks had brown eyes, so she always favoured sort of charcoal and brown eyeshadow, so those are the colours to go for. Finish off with mascara. Now the rouge for the cheeks, you must only apply to the apples of the cheeks and nowhere else. And the lips, this is also quite an important part. First of all, line the lips just inside the natural lip line so that they appear slightly smaller, and emphasise the Cupid's bow. And then fill in with a dark red lipstick.
To achieve the classic Louise Brooks Bob today, you could still use the same cutting techniques used back in the 1920s. This would be using thinning scissors and razors to taper the hair into place. But also, because scissors now are so much more advanced and sharper, you could actually use just a basic graduation technique to cut a graduated bob into the nape of the neck. The hairstyle at the time was quite revolutionary because it involved a haircut rather than the dressing of hair. But it's not really a haircut as we would do today, which would be a blunt bob. It was actually used with tapering and thinning the hair into place. And this is why barbers were so much more skillful at doing the style. The Louise Brooks Bob breaks all the rules in a conventional haircut. For me, when I cut a bob, I actually base it into the jawline and swing it down to make it soft and flattering. With Louise Brooks, the style was very, very high, came just under the ears and was quite square on the jawline. It can look absolutely stunning, but it can also look frightful on the wrong face shape. The shape needs quite a strong bone structure and quite delicate features. To create the perfect finish after the haircut, first of all, apply a straightening gel. This is a product that activates with heat, so actually as you blow dry, it will take any kinks out of the hair and make it perfectly straight. You take a paddle brush and you work the hair backwards and forwards, section by section. Direct the heat of the dryer using the nozzle parallel to the hair shaft just to work down the hair. With today's technology, you can actually achieve a classic bob on most hair types, particularly with straightening irons and straightening lotions. But the ideal hair type for a bob is one that's quite straight. To remove any fluffiness or staticness in the hair, then use a serum or a gloss. This will just create a beautiful shine to the hair. Try not to use hairspray because you really still want to keep a beautiful swing to the hair.
Louise Brooks' look is incredibly distinctive. It boils down, in essence, to the hairstyle. When she didn't have that bob with bangs, the shiny black helmet any longer, perhaps it was coincidence, but her style faded.
Louise Brooks made her last film in 1938, aged only 32. And after that, basically came Louise Brooks's wilderness years, particularly between about 43 and 55. She was a real alcoholic. She hit rock bottom financially. She was also rumoured to have become a prostitute. It was very late, way after her last film, when Louise Brooks became the big Hollywood icon she is now.
Louise Brooks will live on because there will always be the black bob haircut, the page boy cut. It's a striking image, and you see it all over the place.
You don't have to do anything differently to make that look fit in today. That look will be fashionable, will continue to be fashionable, because it's so classic, so clean. There is no other icon. There is only Louise Brooks.
Giving politics a little airtime next, Mary Ann Seacart presents a live powerhouse on the way.